Nice. Well, we're going to get to learn more about what's underneath, like what they're doing in the soil, what they're doing for us, how we can be more involved with them. And so I'd like to say welcome, everybody. I am Samuel McChesney, aka Sam the Fungi. My mission as Sam the Fungi is to end mycophobia, transform mycostigma, and connect people to the power of mycelium. So thank y'all for being here, connecting to the power of mycelium. So today we're going to learn more about the kind of basics of fungi, what mycology is, some mushroom terms used by myco people, and kind of what fungi does in the soil as the unseen, unsung heroes of Earth, kind of. So jumping into it, who's heard of mycelium before? Nice, got some people. Who wants to tell me what mycelium is? Okay. Any answer is perfect.
To say, isn't it just like all the connective bits that connect all the mushrooms
Yeah.
and everything? It's the foundation.
Foundation, I love that. Yeah, the foundation, the connected network. So mycelium is all these individual filaments coming together to form one organism. So each individual filament is called a hyphae. And that hyphae is formed when two spores that are released from a mushroom come together in a good environment. So they're haploid cells, which means each cell has half the genetic material needed to create a new hyphae. So if we look around the room right here, we kind of all look like spores. And so if two spores were to come together, now we're a hyphae. And if that hyphae were to keep growing and keep connecting to everybody else, can we do it? Can we form up? Can we do it? Let's go. Can we do it? Come on, let's do it. Let's do it. Touch my foot. Yes, so we're forming a mycelium. Let's see it. Let's do it. Come on, connect up. We got this. Connect up. Yes, we're doing it. Okay, we form a mycelium and then we produce a mushroom. That mushroom produces spores. Whoop. And then those spores grow in their environment, they spread, and that cycle repeats all over again. So now when you're in the forest or wherever and you see a mushroom, you can do the little spore dance, woo, and you can remember that little thing that we did. And that's what the mushroom is doing in its environment. It's spreading, it's growing, it's performing a function. And there's a couple different functions that mushrooms have in the soil, in the ground. So when we see a mushroom, like we're saying, mushrooms are the result of all the energy of the mycelium coming together and consolidating. So when that spore enters that environment, it's called an inoculation. So spores are released, they're inoculated into an environment, they colonize and consolidate their area, they bring together that energy, produce a mushroom, and repeat the cycle again and again. The mushroom is the end result of all of that energy coming together. So when we see it, it's its reproductive form. It's not the true body or the true essence of the fungi. The fungi is in the soil. It's all the network. It's all the individual. Each hyphae is an individual with its own kind of sensors and brain, so to speak. So it has these brain-like sensors on the end of every growing tip in the mycelium hive. So if you're following me, it kind of looks like a brain in the soil that's going around feeling, learning, making decisions and deciding, we're gonna grow this way, we're gonna grow this way. We found food over here, everybody come on. They have that kind of connectivity and communication within them. So they're communicators in the soil. In that, what they eat kind of determines how their function is in the soil as well. So when we see them growing on dead wood, they're taking all that dead wood, all the energy that's stored in those cells. Dead wood is made of lignin. Lignin has double carbon bonds, and they kind of look like that. And the mushrooms, these ones right here, have specified enzymes that they release to be able to chemically break open those carbon bonds and release all those nutrients and put them back into cycle. So without them, we would have a lot of detritus or just dead stuff everywhere. So they're cycling nutrients. So they're communicating and they're cycling nutrients. But what they also do in that communication is that they don't just communicate well with themselves. They communicate well with everybody. They're like counselors of the soil, so to speak. They go in and they can talk to bushes and they can talk to trees and grasses and bacteria, and they can bring everybody together at a council and be able to form a symbiosis. So that symbiosis is the working, it's the soil working together. When we see a healthy forest system, we see symbiosis. When we look around here, when we see these healthy plants, we see a form of symbiosis. Because they're in pots, they're kind of different, they have a different type of mycelium structure. They still have fungi in the pots. No matter what, mushrooms are gonna be there. 98% of plants have a relationship to fungi from the very beginning. So without fungi, we wouldn't have the healthy plants that we see around us, even going into ourselves. So we've been talking about what mushrooms do outside of ourselves, right? We've talked about how they're communicators in the soil, how they're nutrient cyclers, and how they're wise counselors. And they form these groups together. But what do they do within us? How do they myceliate within our system? Well, fungi aren't just mushrooms, Yeasts are also fungi. So bread, beer, anything fermented like that, with yeast, when we eat it, we're also fermenting it within ourselves. We have microbes and bacteria and fungi in our guts, that help us digest our food. So they help us process nutrients and cycle nutrients inside of us as well. Going to the gut-brain connection, when we have an overgrowth of certain fungi like Candida, Candida can cause a lot of imbalances in our body. It can cause like psoriasis, just kind of feeling depressed, low energy, lots of fatigue. And that happens a lot when you eat kind of an American diet, when we have a lot of yeast, a lot of bread. I know I've been guilty of the sodas. Oh man, back in the day, I used to drink like 3 sodas in a single day. Golly, my Candida was going bonkers. It was gangbusters. It was like, more sugar, please. And so that connection that my brain and my stomach have to specifically that fungi actually led me to eat more sugar, more bread, and kind of repeat the same cycle again and again. So, to break out of that cycle, I turned to the fungi again. I was like, how do I get out of this nasty loop? I'm just constantly eating sugar. I don't feel good. I'm all just like, bleh. I want to feel, yeah. So how do I get there? Well, looking at fungi, when we eat mushrooms, even the button mushrooms from the store, they have a lot of fiber in them. And that fiber, coincidentally, helps clear out all that Candida overgrowth. So when we eat mushrooms, we consume more fiber. We're getting that clearing effect that mushrooms have. And depending on the mushrooms we eat, now they have at Central Market and some HEBs, lion's mane, oysters, and like, heavens to Betsy, chanterelles, and that's just like one of my favorites. I've been chanterelle hunting. They're growing around our area right now, so it's been amazing. But when we eat those mushrooms, we get that balance in ourselves. So mushrooms bring balance, within ourselves, counseling our internal microbes and yeasts to bring balance. So what they do in the soil, they do within us too. They connect us together with ourselves. They are able to nutrient cycle, get us to where we can absorb more of that goodness, and they help us with our counseling of our internal organisms, the word slips my mind. Yes, our microbes, our system of life. And so with all of that, we can go a step beyond. So we've talked about the physical world, them around us, what they do. We've talked a little bit about our internal environment in a physical sense. Well, let's talk about mushrooms in more of a mental capacity. What can they do for us beyond the physical to where we can understand more through mushrooms? So, I might be thinking I'm talking about certain mushrooms, of course, like the ones that are mentioned in this book, How to Change Your Mind by Michael Pollan. But I'm actually talking about lion's mane. Lion's mane, or Hericinium ericineus, is one of the most powerful nootropics that we currently know of. It's used as a treatment, currently being studied for use as a treatment for Alzheimer's and dementia. And the results are coming back incredibly positive. My mom's been taking it for the last 4 years since I learned about its power and how the power of its mycelium, and started cultivating it and making medicine for it. And sometimes her memory's sharper than mine. I'm like, how is this going on? And she's 72. So those kinds of relations, they can help us with the expansion of our minds in a way that we can be able to live long, prosperous lives where we can be healthy and happy and connected with ourselves, right? Because that's kind of the essence of mushrooms, is support, connectivity, and the creation of more life, So that was a lot right there. How do y'all feel? You feel good? Feel receptive, yeah? Still sinking in, all right, like that? Cool. So when we talk about like finding mushrooms and cultivating mushrooms, there's some, ethics to cover. Because of course, when we're out finding mushrooms, it's way different than when we're cultivating mushrooms. When we're cultivating fungi, we're able to take the strain that we want, inoculate it into a substrate, grow it, have it consolidate that substrate, and then fruit for us. So we don't really have to worry about too much ethics with that, as long as you're putting good soil, good substrate, good energy. Mushrooms hyperaccumulate their environment. So we put that into the cultivated block. We can harvest that, let it grow and take care of it and let it go through its life cycle. But when we're foraging, it's a little different, because we're working in symbiosis with our nature, with our ecology. We don't want to be coming in and being disruptive and be like, yeah, I want to take this, I want to take that, and I'm going to clear out all these mushrooms that I found, or all this medicine, all these plants that I found. With foraging, it becomes a relationship of respect, and moving at the speed of trust. So, if you're not a confident forager, you don't want to be going out foraging, getting stuff and putting it in your mouth. It's not eatable until you have 4 expert sources that tell you that is what it is, for sure, and have gone on some walks with people who know what they're talking about and know what they're doing. Because we don't want to eat something and then get a bellyache for 4 hours or 4 days, or be wishing that we didn't have a bellyache at all. We don't want to be in those situations where we can kind of get ourselves into trouble. So also with foraging, the reason to go with somebody who knows what they're doing is mushrooms hyperaccumulate their environment. So can y'all say that with me? Hyperaccumulate. Oh, thank you so much. I love it. So that hyperaccumulation is where, if it's around kind of refuse material, septic field, a leaky sewer line, or even like some chemicals, if it's been sprayed or anything like that in the area, like in the parks. A lot of parks are sprayed with pesticides and herbicides as well. Well, mushrooms are going to hyperaccumulate all of that. So when we're going out foraging, we're also looking at what are these mushrooms eating, because we might not want to take them to eat them, but we might want to take a sample, just a small little piece, back home with us to cultivate it, to inoculate it into our own substrate that we have. So the ethics of foraging when you're out in the wild is the 1 in 4 rule. If there's 4 things there, you can take 1, because one of them is for it itself, to continue its cycle, the seeding, the sporing, whatever it is. The second one is for the nature around it, the other bugs, animals, and beings, bacteria, microbes that feast on whatever it is. So we want to leave that for them too. And then for the third one, That's for somebody else, another avid forager like yourself, to come along and find that. So the 1 in 4 rule, you get 1 in 4. So that's a cool trick to remember, but again, going back to it, again, 4 expert sources. We like 4 over here. 4 expert sources. You can only take 1. And if it looks contaminated in its environment, that's not the end all be all. We can also take it home, find a home in our home labs, and we can get it going like that, you know? Get some home cultivation. I'm gonna get some more chairs for folks right now.
Appreciate it.
Welcome, welcome. We're talking about fungi out here.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Should we do the exercise again now that more people have showed up? Ah, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Unless y'all want to. All right. So we've talked a little bit about what mushrooms do in the environment, you know. Actually, I'll wait till everybody gets settled. We'll take a couple minutes. Dance break.
So you said 1 in 4.
1 in 4.
You said 2, and then you said 3, right? What about 4?
4 is you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
First question, can you repeat her
Oh,
question?
yeah. So she asked, I said, you know, I explained 1, 2, 3 in terms of, you know, 1 being for itself, 2 being for animals and the ecology, the insects, the microbes, 3 being for another avid forager, and 4 is for you. So that's your present to take home. After you've identified those 3, you've done those 3 steps, then you can do your little dance and take home your forage. So that's what I mean by that. Absolutely. So we've talked a little bit about how mushrooms work in their environment. They're connectors. They connect to themselves. They're really intelligent. They have their kind of own system. You know, if we look at hyphae as individuals that are connected to that whole, it kind of seems like a brain in the soil. We looked at how they are nutrient cyclers outside in the soil. They take dead wood, they turn it into usable soil, humus. They break open those double carbon bonds, those lignin bonds. They break them open with specialized enzymes, cycle those nutrients out. They counsel the soil. They bring together a council of all the different beings, the insects, the microbes, the bacteria, and they get everybody to sit together. They connect the trees, the shrubs, and us to them. And now we've talked a little bit about what they do internally, you know, how they do that same thing. They connect us internally. They help us digest our food with yeasts. They help us with nutrient uptake. They also counsel our own microbes and internal structures. And then beyond that, we've talked about how lion's mane and other mushrooms of the like connect us in our brains to itself. They are nootropics, they're healers. And they counsel and they grow, they kind of do all that, right? Those 3 levels all the way up, down, mind, body, spirit, if you would. Ooh. So mushrooms are integrated from top to bottom all the way through our life, you know? This is why I say mushrooms, fungi, are the foundation of life on Earth. So when we learn about fungi, like y'all are doing right now, connecting to the power of mycelium, we're connecting to the foundation of life on Earth. We're connecting to something we can build off of that's sustainable, that will last, that will grow. Because, you know, the system that we've built now, as y'all are probably experiencing, like I might be experiencing, is not quite as solid as you once thought. It's kind of shaky, and there's some cracks starting to form in the walls of our structure, of our culture even. To where, you know, this commodification, this monocropping, this living at the expense of, instead of living at the request of. So that's the different kind of mindset shift that when you get involved with fungi, whether that's walking in the forest, thinking about their mycelium that you're walking on, whether you're eating mushrooms in your kitchen, whether you're taking a mushroom tincture for your mind, for your mental health, for your body's health, whether you're, you know, sitting in meditation and communing spiritually with the energies around you. All of those involve fungi in some way because we are inherently fungal beings. We are inherently living off the foundation if you are alive. So that mental disconnect, that confusion is what, we're here today to kind of get a little clarity about. Now that y'all know what mushrooms do in the soil and what they do within your body and how they can help your mind, it becomes a game, a fun exploration of how can I involve mushrooms in this? How are mushrooms involved in this? Can I identify where the relationship is? Can I see what's happening in that space? And so I play that game pretty often. It's a little bit of projection. You don't have to play that game if you don't want to. I really find it a lot of fun. Just going out in the forest, spending some time, walking around, looking at plants, looking at everything, taking pictures. There's an app called iNaturalist that I highly recommend everybody get. It is kind of like the quintessential tool for anybody going outside that wants to know more stuff. You can take pictures. And this is how to take pictures with iNaturalists. Yes. So mushroom pictures are a lot of fun. I get a lot of mushroom pictures from a lot of people. They are great because people are sending me mushroom pictures, but when you take a picture of a mushroom and you're taking it like this, and you take a picture and I get a blurry blob of a mushroom, I'm not going to tell you what that is very successfully. So when you find a mushroom in the wild, you find a mushroom, you look at it, you walk around it, you go, "Hi mushroom, this is my name, how are you doing? My name's Sam McCabe McChesney." I like to say my name to the mushrooms. I like to say my name going out to trees and things like that to make my presence known, introduce myself, involve myself in the ecology in that way, but also involve my mind too, get that connection going by speaking my own name, kind of bring myself to more of the present moment. So, speaking my name, looking at the mushroom, I take a picture of the whole space. Where is it growing? What is it growing on? And then I get closer to it. I take a picture from the top. What does it look like top down? But this is the really important part. I need to know what it looks like from the bottom as well. So I change my camera to like the front facing view and I get under there and I take a little underspore shot of the mushroom gills or whatever mushroom reproductive structure it has. And then I take another picture with me in there and a selfie for funsies. And for personal records. And I upload that to iNaturalist, minus the selfie, sometimes the selfie too. It depends on how good it is. And people on the app that are mycophiles like myself that are also really avid foragers that have spent years studying this, that have books on books on books to where that they've read, that they've understood and carry with them the knowledge of what that mushroom is because of all that information you've gathered about it. So with that, you kind of become a citizen scientist and we're able together collectively as a symbiosis, as mycelium, to grow together, learn together, and kind of move the collective understanding of humanity one step further by every post that we put on iNaturalist. We know when that mushroom is growing. We know where it's growing. We know what environment it was growing in and what it was growing on. We can track the movement of mycelium with that data to see where are places getting affected by drought. How are they getting affected by drought? How is that affecting the mycelium structure? And then how is that then affecting the trees and the subsequent ecology around that? To go into that a little bit, I work with a company. I am SamtheFungi in Symbiosis. The reason I've been using Symbiosis so much is because the company I work for is called Symbiosis. So we do land regeneration at scale. We design and build food forests. We design and build regenerative homes using sustainable materials, rammed earth, hempcrete, There are these like earthen blocks. So we do all this kind of stuff. We're building with mycelium a little bit now too, to be able to use that understanding of, okay, how is the drought affecting certain places? Let's create different water structures. Let's put different trees that are able to handle different ecologies, so we can create systems that are, that are favoring the mycelium network, that are working with nature and not working on nature, if that makes sense. You know, a lot of landscaping is working on nature, making it look the way you want it to look. Whereas when you work with nature, you can still achieve that look, but you can do it in a way that is favoring the ecology and working with nature and Texas as a whole to not only be able to have more resilient ecologies that survive and look beautiful and host many species of, you know, anything, to in-soak to our aquifers, repairing our spring system, getting things flowing the way they were back in the day, you know? Granted, the earth shifts and the earth moves and water changes in ways that we don't understand quite yet. But with the understanding of mycelium, we can build on the foundations. We can build on something that's sustainable, something that when those disruptions occur in our climate, when we have these moments of insurity or of fragility, we can look to the foundations of life on Earth and become anti-fragile, because that's truly what they are. They're in that space. They've been around for millions, billions, potentially years. Their spores can survive the vacuum of space as well as the heat of re-entry. So, you know, panspermia theory, who knows where life came from on Earth, but it could have come from mushrooms. All I'm saying, it's possible. So, living off the foundations is crucial. So we've covered a lot. Does anybody have any questions? Sure.
One thing I was curious about is how do the mushrooms actually communicate with the plants to help change their nutrient intake? Like, how does that relationship work?
Good question. So how do plants communicate, or how do fungi communicate with plants to help change their nutrient intake? How do they communicate that? What language do they speak, so to speak? Well, it's a language of exchange, right? It's a give and take. So mushrooms provide minerals and water to plants, because the mycelium network extends far greater surface area-wise in the soil than the roots of the plants would ever dream to reach. So essentially, the fungi are acting as a secondary root system, a living, intelligent root system to the plant that is going out, gathering minerals and water, bringing it to the plant. The plant is then exchanging sugar and carbohydrates for that relationship, and that's where that exchange takes place. The constant flow changes, and that changes, what the plant does, how it responds. For example, if you have, what's the best way to put this? Give me a moment. I need a drink of water, and then we're going to talk about something really cool. So there's an experiment that was done where plants were placed in a bed, and the plant on one end of the bed was cut, damaged, hurt. The plant at the other end of the bed, infested, not cut or damaged, infested with a bug. The plant at the end of the row started producing the exact immunological response to basically deter that bug from eating it. But that bug had not even come close to it yet. It's still over here. So the mycelium transferred that energy, that pulse, that signal of electricity, right? Because the mycelium is it communicates via an electrochemical network. So it has kind of like how we communicate, right? We communicate internally via electrochemical stuff. So, we have brain neurons firing signals, and then we have hormones and serotonin and dopamine that come in and do a bunch of stuff. So the electrochemical signal, the mushrooms have the electrochemical signal, and they send it through their network, their mycelium, and it reaches this other plant. It gets uptaken as a signal, and the plant is able to move in the exact way through that electrical impulse, right? That push, that move, that the domino that was placed was pushed, and now the system is moving to protect that plant and to, bring it more resiliency. So that's kind of an example of how the mushrooms will communicate in the soil, and that's even true of the forest as well. So there's constant communication happening electrochemically all around us. And in that regard, that's how and why going out in the forest feels so good. Forest bathing, if you've ever heard of it, it's a practice of going out in the forest and just being with the trees, oftentimes barefoot, so you can ground and be with that. Well, your footsteps, coincidentally, are stepping on potentially 12 miles of mycelium each foot. So each step you're taking in a healthy forest ecosystem has 12 miles of mycelium under it, 12 miles of electrochemical signaling, 12 miles of intelligent system. We're electrochemical beings too. We can absorb those signals as well, especially when we're barefoot and we have that nice surface area just touching on the mycelium, and they're touching on us back, and we're like, ooh, this is good. And so being in the forest feels good for that reason. We're engaging with their electrochemical system. We're engaging with ours. We're truly, our auras are blending with the forest. We are directly connected to that network, whether we know it or not, whether we're aware of it or not. We're breathing in between 13 and 700 fungal spores with each breath that we take. Our system is designed for this. We're inoculated through and through. So welcome to your new inoculation, everybody. Yeah, we're mycophiles, citizen scientists, going out in the forest and feeling good. So speaking of, I'm going to be doing a little walk after this over there at Mud Creek. So if anybody wants to just splash around in some mud, not really, but just like be with nature and stuff, I'm going to be over there after the class. So we can kind of integrate this knowledge. Y'all have been sitting down, just kind of absorbing everything. Walking and learning is another way of taking this information to the next level. So yeah, I really thank y'all for being here. Does anybody have any questions?
You had mentioned like foraging. Would be some places around like San Antonio or maybe just Texas in general where you're allowed to forage? Because I know a lot of land is mostly private, or if it's public, you're not allowed to like forage. Right, yeah. The ethics of foraging when it comes to where can you forage in San Antonio, being that most land is private and public land technically you can't forage on. It really comes down to, because of Texas being so private, getting with the Mycological Society and joining their forays where we get permission from those state parks to go in and forage and do that kind of work for research purposes only, if that's familiar to anybody. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, it's hard to find places in San Antonio where you can ethically forage, where you're not hitting one of those markers of like, well, there's only one here, so I can't take it, or dang, it's really cool, awesome flush, but it's right next to a waste treatment plant, and that's why it's got all the moisture, is because it's the waste treatment plant, so you don't want to eat that one. Or, oh, that's a really cool mushroom, but it's totally over a barbed wire fence and it's got purple painted on the barbed wires. You kind of just make the relationship slowly over time
something I've done is like if I find mushrooms, like let's say I'm looking over the fence, not on someone's private property, and I find mushrooms on their private property, I'll write a letter and be like, hey, I found these cool mushrooms on your property. This is what they are. Have a good one. Here's my number. If you wanted more information, or, you know, if I can come get them, let me know, you know. And you'd be surprised by how many people actually respond well to that. Because, you know, a genuine response, a genuine ask usually gets a genuine reply. Even if it's a genuine no, at least you know. Like, I'd rather get a no than a, well, look out, or be in that space of just not sure. Because, yeah, not sure in Texas can be pretty dangerous and always uncomfortable. Does anybody else have any questions? How did I dry these mushrooms? Ooh, yeah, that's a good point. We're gonna pass these around. So they're gonna go like.
Okay.
So the way that I dried those mushrooms is basic. Well, you see, I totally left them in my car. They were on my dashboard. I found them. I was like, yo, this is my name. You're really cool. This is your name. Can I take you with me? You're going to be like teaching tools in the future for folks. And then people are going to like touch on you and stuff. And they were like, yeah, go ahead. So I like take them, put them on the dash. In the Texas, you don't got to worry about much, just time. And then time passes.
So how many days do you leave your windows open?
No windows open. If it's like right now in Texas, like maybe 6 hours. Yeah, sometimes like 12 hours usually. I've noticed like a significant difference. I mean, I put mushrooms on the dash yesterday at 2 p.m. and by 4 p.m. they had already changed like size, color, and shape. So I was like, wow, it's warm. Even with this humidity, you know. If it does get really wet consistently, you'll notice they'll get like soft in the center. So what I do occasionally, like once they get to that level, if I see any like dust coming off of them, any holes in them at all, in the freezer they go. Put them in the freezer for 24 hours, kills all the bugs off, take them back out, chill them on the dash again, a couple hours, and then they'll be good to go from there.
So what type of mushrooms are those edible? Or?
So we'll go over what type of mushrooms when they come back around, because they're pretty cool explanation wise. But what was your question?
So could this be like the way you dry them out on accident? Could that be a potential way to dry out mushrooms for like culinary purposes?
Okay, so yeah, the way I dried out, like kind of accidentally on purpose, these mushrooms on the dash, can that be used for culinary mushrooms? It depends on what you're doing with them. Like for lion's mane, for example, if you dehydrate it at above 108 degrees Fahrenheit, you're affecting the efficacy or the effectiveness of the nootropic brain building compounds, because they get affected at 108 degrees Fahrenheit. So on the dash, they're going to be roasty toasty golden. They won't have any of the good compounds in them anymore, but they'll be dried out, and so the fiber and the taste, the umami is going to be still there. So you can take that mushroom, grind it up, and put it in some salt, and you can make some umami powder, you know, like that. Oh, it's so good. That's what I love to do, and you can totally do that with the dash.
Yeah, like some rice, butter, and mushrooms.
Ah, amazing. Rice, butter, and mushrooms, just like, sheesh, mushroom powder like that. One thing on that is dehydrating them in the sun, because mushrooms hyperaccumulate their environment. They also, wait, that doesn't make sense. Dehydrating in the sun, because mushrooms are kind of like us and we're kind of like mushrooms, you know, the melanin that's in our skin is the same melanin that's in mushrooms. 99% the same. Just saying. So the purpose of melanin, right, to produce vitamin D in our skin, when we put mushrooms in the sun, they produce vitamin D. So we can dehydrate our mushrooms in the sun and they increase their vitamin D content. And then when we eat them, especially if they're just like dehydrated in a solar dehydrator, solar dehydrator, powdered, put it as mushroom umami powder on like a lot of different things. Now, not only are you getting a good taste and good feelings with your food, but you're getting that higher nutrient profile, mineralization that you wouldn't have otherwise. Especially if you're wild foraging, ethical mushrooms, they have like the highest nutrient profile they could have, because they're hyperaccumulating in their environment. If they're growing on a tree that's 500 years old and you eat a mushroom off a tree that's 500 years old, it's got all of that history hyperaccumulated through water in its being presented to you ethically, right? What was your question?
So do mushrooms, do they have like universal conditions that they grow in, or can you have year-round different species growing in different climates?
Good question. Do mushrooms have universal growing conditions, or do you have to have different conditions for different species? So there's definitely times for and seasons for mushrooms. Being humans, we are very ingenuitous, and so we can create a system and a space and a thing that does a purpose, and we can make something happen. But if we're really living off the foundations, we're looking at what nature does, and we're working with that space. So lion's mane, for example, doesn't normally grow in Texas. It sometimes does, like around Lake Bastrop and in Austin. There's been like a couple species that are found. If you find one in San Antonio, please let me know. We're definitely looking for a hot weather resistant strain because the number one thing about the expense of growing lion's mane is your air conditioning, right? Because like this is too hot. Lion's mane needs like 60 degrees, like max, 70 degrees. And so those kind of specific fruiting conditions and the needs that it has kind of occlude growing right in the middle of summer in Texas when it's 115 degrees. It's like, we do it because we're humans and we need that mushroom and we eat that mushroom and it's good for us. So there are companies that do that here in Texas and they have some awesome equipment and like the thickest insulation walls I've ever seen. You know what I mean? They make it work. Yeah. But for the normal person that's just trying to cultivate at home or in their backyard, going with the seasons is a really great way to stay on the foundations and not cost yourself an arm and a leg trying to produce the mushrooms that, are cool to produce, but like kind of outsize the seasonality. But every mushroom has an ideal growing season. There is an ideal growing season for every mushroom out there. Some seasons are shorter than others and some are longer depending on where you are. Speaking on growing in Texas outdoors, cultivating oyster mushrooms, which is a lot of what people do in this area, you can do that year round here. Even in the winter, they won't grow when it's freezing, but they'll produce little pups and stuff when it warms up to 60 degrees in the winter like it does here. So you can have mushrooms that last, 90% of the growing season, the majority of the growing season, but there's always windows where it's just inopportune, when it's really, really cold and it's really, really hot. Those are just times where mushrooms tend, even in the wild and outdoors, they have a tendency to just hide, They hibernate, they go into their mycelial form and gather and fortify and strengthen. But yeah, it was a good question.
I guess back to the whole drying mushroom out. I have one last question about
Yeah.
that. Could you air dry them out like regular herbs and flowers and stuff?
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Okay.
like you would air dry herbs or flowers, you can totally dry mushrooms.
Okay,
That's
cool,
the
because I
same
know
way.
that's how you mostly preserve a lot of the beneficial.
Yeah, like how you would preserve flowers, you can relatively dehydrate mushrooms similarly. There's going to be some like moisture variations depending on the type of mushroom that you have. The ones that I passed around here were all bracket fungus, and so we'll go into like what they are next. But all of these are mostly chitin. Thank you.
So they're mostly chitin. So that's what mushrooms are made from. They're made from chitin, which is kind of like the keratin in our hair, you know, and our nails and stuff. Very similar. Okay, so these mushrooms are super cool. All of them were found in our area. So we've got a couple different types. You know, we've got this. Let's talk about this one first. So this one right here was found on a juniper tree. So growing on a conifer, you know, which is naturally antifungal. So it was kind of a surprise to see this one growing there. It has the enzymes and the specific ecology to know how to grow on a juniper tree. But this one is Formatoporia texiana. That's its Latin name. It has a common name, and it's funny enough, I'm forgetting that one. But this one, it's a bracket fungus, so it's growing, you know, like a bracket. It's growing like a shelf bracket. It was growing on a tree, so it's saprophytic. It was eating the dead wood of that tree. There was something going on with that tree, and this mushroom showed me that tree had an immunological issue. So mushrooms show when trees have immunological issues. Going back to the mushroom, looking at the bottom of it, its reproductive structure or how it produces spores, it has pores. So its spores come through pores. So these little pores, there's a lot of them, right? There's many pores. So it's a polypore. Woo! So it's a saprophytic bracket fungi, polypore, that was growing on a coniferous tree. Fancy language for the mushrooms growing on this tree that's got an issue, and it's got pine, little pine needles on it, and it's the polypore is really important. That's a really important part of identifying this mushroom. So with all that information, where it's growing, what it kind of is growing on, a picture of the spores, a picture of the top, we're able to determine this one is Formatoporia texana, and that's also due to the morphological features of it. So morphological meaning like what you can see, it's morphology. So the morphological features here are like grooves and cracks and all that stuff. So that helps us identify, because there's this other one and it's all smooth, right? But it's got polypores, and it was growing on dead wood. This one was an oak, though. It wasn't conifer, so it's different. It's got a smooth top to it, but it has those polypores. So could it be the same? And it's like, could be. But this one is actually kind of similar because of that bracket fungus. So it fits in the polypore, family of things. But it's different because it's smooth. And it has the shape of kind of like a horse's hoof, it kind of has like a hoof-like shape. So it's horse hoof fungi, or Fomitopsis. Fomitopsis. We're just gonna go with the genus on this one. But this one was the one also found on the Cro-Magnon man that was in the tar pits, like one of the oldest specimens that we found, like from the Ice Age or before the Ice Age. Like 11,000 years old, I want to say. He had two mushrooms with him. This one and another one I don't have with me. Reishi, which if y'all might be familiar with that one, Reishi Ganoderma. That one's really medicinal as well. It's one of the ones that's been used by humans for thousands of years. Going back in China, Ganoderma lingzi documented for thousands of years medicinal use. So he had that one for medicinal use, and he had this one. Why did he have this one? Well, this one grows around our area. Does it have a medicinal use? Well, actually, it's got more of a practical use. Granted, most mushrooms that you'll find have some sort of medicinal purpose. That medicine might not be for us. That might be medicine for the earth. That might be medicine for another being, another insect, animal, microbe. However, with this one, it's practical use. If we look at it,
I guess we'll have to see it from here. So if we look at the base of it, it's kind of got a similar kind of feature. It has this kind of like felty looking material on it, like that felt that you see right there.
It's almost woody.
Right there. Right, exactly. It looks woody. There's a little bit of wood still on it. But that felt material in the center, that soft looking stuff, it is also called amadou, and that is a smoldering material. So in this mushroom right here, you could put an ember from a fire and move camp, right? And it would smolder in this mushroom. You know, you wrap it in, you know, a soaked bladder from a deer, you know, and then now you've got a smoldering fire that can be restarted, and you can just move camps, and you can move miles, hours, days away using and carrying this fire in this mushroom. So, you know, incredibly practical purpose. In Russia, there's certain species of this Fomitopsis that grow, or certain types of it in that kind of genus Polypore that have so much amadou in them, you can make material with them. Like Paul Stamets, if you've ever heard of him, Fungi Perfecti. He wrote, where'd it go? It's not on my table right now. Oh, it's not on my table right now. He wrote a book called Mycelium Running, and that book is like a really good place to get started. It's got a lot of easy terms to learn about mushrooms and things. He has a hat that he wears pretty much all the time. That hat's made of amadou. It's made of mushrooms. He's got a mushroom hat. I'm like, this man is so in the fungi. He's got a hat. Enough said. Oh, it's so cool. So, you know, this one, it moves fire. It is been used by the tribes in this area for as long as they've been here, and it's, you know, looking like there's potential for that people have been in this area for like 100,000 years, like around San Marcos, stuff like that. So yeah, really cool fungi there, Fomitopsis. Moving on to this one. So this one, it kind of looks like a frisbee. It's called, it's white. It's got pores as well. It was growing on wood. So what does it mean if it's growing on dead wood? What is it called? Pop quiz. Saprophyte. Yeah, nice. Yes, the beginning. There we go. Yeah, and when it's, you know, when it's got this kind of shape, what's that shape called? What's its morphological feature? Bracket. Yeah, let's go. So if it has all these, you know, holes for spores, what is that called? Polypore. Y'all are awesome. Let's go. Look at y'all. We're getting it already. Learning together. So it's a polypore. It's a bracket fungi. It's kind of got this like milky color, I would call it, like kind of like yeah, I would say more like milky white. So this one is, come to me now. You remember your name. Trametes lactiniae, or latte bracket. So Trametes lactiniae, it's a really common one. You're gonna find this one pretty much all over the place in this area. This one was found, it's so unique, you know, it's growing like as a plate, where normally though you'll see them like this. So that's why this one is with me right now. But it doesn't have, it's beautiful because it digests the wood in the forest. It's a nutrient cycler. Medicinal edible purposes are currently unknown with this one. So yeah, don't put it in your mouth. Generally, don't put mushrooms in your mouth. You always want to cook mushrooms. You always want to cook them, because if you put them in your mouth, they might make you sick. Even if they're edible, they still might make you a little like rumbly in the tumbly, you know? They got a lot of fiber in them. That chitin can't be digested by our stomachs. We lack the chitinase to digest mushrooms. So when you are eating mushrooms, any kind of mushroom,
something that you can do that is really helpful for the breakdown, digestion, and absorption of any of the nutrients and compounds within the mushroom are eating fruit that is grown in a high fungal environment. Bananas, mangoes, pineapples, those all have chitinase in them already. Because they're grown in a high fungal environment, they have to know how to digest that as like a enzymatic process within the plant itself. So the plant's got the download, you eat it, you get the download, you eat the mushrooms give you more downloads, then you're just uploaded to the mycelium network like that. Let's go. And if you really, if this piques your interest and you're like, man, I want more, but like I want more like now at my own pace. Radical Mycology by Peter McCoy. This is like the biblioteca of a mycology. It's a treatise on seeing and working with fungi. And it truly is a treatise. Look at these treatises. Sorry, that was a bad joke. How to dye fabric with fungi. Let's just take a cultivating truffles. Different types of mushrooms in the area, different things like that. So, and then on the back it has a work list to where it has like kind of mycological levels. Level 1 mycology, you go out, you find a mushroom, you do what we just talked about with uploading the picture to iNaturalist, learning more about it. Next step would be taking that and cultivating it at home. The step after that would be like making that commercial or bigger or whatever. There's a bunch of stuff in here. Radical Mycology, super cool book. Another one, Mycelium Running by Paul Stamets, really awesome. Follow me, Sam the Fungi, on all social medias and stuff like that. Also, I have my notepad, my handy-dandy notepad here, and I'm gonna leave it out. If you wanna leave your email, your phone number, stuff like that, I'll sign you up for my email list, which kind of gives you an update on my upcoming walks, classes, products, stuff like that. And then, connect to the larger mycelium network. Join the Central Texas Mycological Society. Go on the walks, go on the forays, go to the classes, join the online groups that happen pretty much every week. So we can all get myceliated. We can all start living on the foundations. And if you're curious on how you can do more to impact your land, if you have land, or if you have a backyard, if you have an apartment complex you want to make better or something like that, you can check out Symbiosis. And we have on our education hub, symbiosistx.com, on our education hub, we have a bunch of information on how you can get started, kind of helping the repair of this Texas ecology, the aquifer system, and kind of live in symbiosis with everything. So yeah, thank you for being here. I'm Sam the Fungi. Woo! Tanya.
You were talking about drying the mushroom. So, do you have to cook that, or how long does that, once you've dried, it's two questions. Once you've dried it, how long do you have before you nope, I shouldn't be eating this?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Yeah, how long do mushrooms last dehydrated? As long as there aren't bugs in it. Really though, as long as there aren't bugs in it and it's still dehydrated. Like if it's not dehydrated anymore, if it's like flimsy, if it's rehydrated at all, if it smells funny, your nose knows. Like that's the number one thing. Our bodies are so capable. We've been given the capability, blessed with it like that, to where we can, smell something and know whether it's like got some goodness or not so goodness, especially with mold. We're real sensitive with mold. Our noses are so accurate. We can pick, one up to 2 parts per million or something like that. It'd be the equivalent of like a drop of water or a tablespoon of water in an Olympic-sized swimming pool. We can smell like that. So yeah, if it smells good and it's still dehydrated and it's been stored properly, not in a plastic bag, but like glass jar, desiccant pack, stuff like that. It's gonna last a pretty long time. Yes.
If you're foraging and like, like say for example you're foraging and then you want to like build a campsite and you see some mushrooms, what are the steps to take to make them edible if you want to eat?
Ooh. So that question we don't have time for. Yeah, the question was like, how do you're out camping, you find mushrooms, how do you make them like edible? Assuming that you are an expert, have already gone through the whole docket of like, you're an expert, avid forager, you know what you're doing, you found the mushroom, you know for sure 4 expert sources tell you that's what it is. You pick 1 out of 4 and you harvest those. Basically like taking the dirt off and then dry sauteing it is what I recommend. Oh yeah, okay, so cooking mushrooms, dry sauteing is like a really good thing to do. A lot of people don't like the taste of mushrooms because of their texture. And I'm like, y'all just haven't had my mushrooms yet. So let me tell you the secret, okay? Dry saute all day. Dry saute longer than you think. Crisp them up, get them nice, get that water out of there. Don't add salt. Don't add salt. Dry saute, then add your fat. I like butter, so I put a little bit of butter. I have a cow, so I just make butter. So I put my little bit of butter in there. Then I put the salt, so the water then gets out of the mushroom into the butter. The butter and the water and the salty water reabsorb in the mushroom. Talk about umami. That's the but yeah, finding mushrooms in the wild, having been foraged ethically, knowing they're not hyper-accumulated bad stuff, make sure they don't have dirt on it. Slice it up, cook it the way you want. So that's it. Oh.
So I add a lot of mushroom compost and mushroom blocks to my raised garden beds. We've got 2 raised beds in San Antonio. What exactly am I adding to my garden bed?
That's a really good question. It depends on where you get your mushroom blocks and what their code is, because each mushroom farm has a different code. So you kind of got to delve into the code. The question was like, how do I know I've been picking up mushroom blocks from the mushroom pickup zones from CTMS. How do I know what I'm putting in my compost? You're putting saprophytes in like a blanket statement. You're putting saprophytes in your compost and they're helping break down any leaf litter and promoting the space for mycorrhizal fungi to be in there. Because there's the saprophytes, which are the ones that break down, and then there's the mycorrhizal, and those are the connectors / counselors, like that. So when you make space for one, you make space for the other. In not so mutual of a relationship as that statement, but like kind of ish in that way.
Put too much in?
Yes, you can put too much in. If you put too much in your compost, it's not necessarily a bad thing. You'll just have mushrooms producing. The problem is like the potential for there to be like bacterial inference to those mushrooms because it's in a compost system, and the bugs. So like they're gonna get buggy. They might have a little bit of bacteria on them. They might have a little bit of mold on them. So that's like one of the things that can happen from putting in the compost. Your nose knows. So if it looks good, you catch it when it's young. You can harvest it, eat it up.
Not just turn it over and then spray
Put it back. Yeah, I mean, I take the mushrooms and I put them in the trees if I don't want to eat them or anything like that. Even if they're on the forest floor sometimes, I'll take them and I'll stick them up in the tree. So it produces, it's just, you're doing the work of the mushroom. You're putting it up way up high so it has that canopy for spread and it can flow with the wind, because that's how most spores spread, is with the wind.
So I accidentally got one of those blocks and forgot about it and was trying to rehydrate it and I just left it hooked up in water. Now I have mushrooms. Is that bad?
No, that's great. Yeah, you can put the blocks in a tub of water if they're really dehydrated, and they'll rehydrate, and oftentimes you'll get a flush. Even if you forget about it and leave it floating in the water, it'll just be like,
Yeah. Yeah, like if it's on a block, you can send me a picture to my email, SamtheFungi@gmail, and I can help you understand kind of what it is. Neat. Sweet.
It's white.
Yeah. Oh, it's probably pearl oyster. Probably pearl oyster. It's probably pearl oyster.
Do any of those resources cover how to use the hyperaccumulation to clean out polluted soil?
Ooh, do any of these sources cover how to use hyperaccumulation to clean out soil, otherwise known as mycoremediation? And these ones on the table, except for radical mycology. Radical mycology does cover it. Paul Stamets has some really beautiful work that he's done research-wise on that specific subject. But yeah, mycoremediation is a super fascinating subject, and it's something that we are applying directly at Symbiosis with the food forests that we build, but also it's something we've applied as CTMS, the Central Texas Mycological Society, through our partnership with Circle Acres. Circle Acres in Austin, Texas. It was a brownfield, and we used mycelial blocks to spread over the brownfield to help remediate the soil and function as mycofiltration as well. So filtering the water as it goes into the soil to have it be healthier as well. I have some cards here. Come take some cards and stuff like that. Leave your email, leave your phone number, connect with me, and let's go on some walks soon and do some cool stuff. Learn about some more mushrooms.
Where's Mud Creek?
Mud Creek is like a couple miles down the road.
Are you gonna go on that walk today?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna go on the walk today. It's not gonna be a hosted walk. It's not gonna be like a thing of like the same as like this kind of class setting. I have actual classes that do that, but they take a pretty fair amount of effort for me to like get them going. So yeah, that's why I say leave your name and your email or your phone number, your name, your email, all the good stuff. And I can contact you when those classes are coming up so we can actually go out and have some excursions where we're foraging and we're learning about the plants, the fungi, and you have your nice like pamphlet that like has pictures and names that you can reference and be able to like
Thank you.
have information.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask you, are the mycelium spores still viable in these dried ones?
Yeah, the spores are still viable for
Really?
like for years. Yeah.
Amazing. So could you propagate more with them?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Nice
totally.
place. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Do you mind doing an ID?
Sweet. Oh, that one's a cool one. That one
It's
is.
on a hackberry.
I actually don't know what that one is.
Okay.
It's some sort of. It looks like a mold over a
That's what I
fungi
thought.
because it's got that slime mold kind of look, but it's white, and that's just kind
Now,
of
will
wild.
that kill the tree or is it?
No.
The hackberry's probably going, but
Yeah, if it's already looking like it's going.
this whole area is like a 60 by 60. It was invaded by bamboo, so I didn't know if that was a rhizome, something that came off the rhizomes. Yeah. Not a great question.
Thank you, Sam.
You're welcome. Yeah, take some slappers. Take some slappers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for all the information.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, totally.
Do you know anyone that does things like this in like Fort Worth area?
Fort Worth. Yeah, there's not really much. Oh, there's the Gulf Coast Mycological Society that kind of has some stuff up there. There's the North Texas Mycological Society. They do stuff in that area. David Lewis is up there. I think he runs that. Yeah. There are location-specific foraging books.
Great class.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I'll check you out.
Please do.
Followed you on Instagram.
Thank you. Hey, take one of these.
Hey, appreciate it, really.
Yeah.
This documentary series based off this book.
Oh
Freaking
my
amazing.
gosh, How to Change Your Mind literally changed my life. It like taught me how to apply that medicine in the right way because that's like
You're like, let me get
gotta make sure not have the mic on for this one. Yeah, that I could see some of us in the crowd.
Yeah.
It's crazy how like you can see like some folks just like I don't know. There's like a
Gravitate towards the mycology and fungi for a specific reason.
reason, and like, yeah, sometimes you can look in people's eyes and there's like a certain shimmer, and you're just like, ah, what up? How's it going? It's good to see you
Communing
again.
with my mushrooms last night.
Yes. Ah, lovely. Yeah. Also, you're like primed for this information. It's just like, okay.
Is that a pancake rock?
No, check it out.
Thank you. Oh, I got one. Thank you. I like your necklace too.
Thank you, appreciate you. It's the root of Maya. Yeah, it's the Mayan symbol for the connection of everything with itself. Thank you.
What are these?